Hi, young people. Let's talk about this charging of the officer on the Rayshard Brooks case. Talk about police and impact and the charges and how the DA is apparently making this about color than anything, but nobody wants to say it. Let's listen to this.
Turn now to Atlanta, where today some police officers have called out sick, apparently to protest the criminal charges against two officers.
Okay, so I've been hearing that all Atlanta Police Department quit, walked out, but look, people, no cop has quit yet. Cops don't quit their jobs. It's good benefits, it's good pay. I mean, between sick leave and vacation and comp time and overtime, I mean, cops are making well over 100, 150 a year, plus they get all these days. I mean, I had so much freaking time on the books because I didn't take sick leave and I was always working. So, I mean, it ain't nothing for a cop when he retires to have a year of sick leave and he adds a year on to his retirement, etc. So, look, cops aren't quitting their jobs, okay? And I don't want to say the cops are pussies because they won't quit, but most cops, you don't leave your job where you're at. All cops bitch about the agency they're at, and they want to leave and they want to quit, and I did too. But when you leave, you have to start over, you lose seniority, you go to the bottom of the list at the new agency, now you got to reprove yourself, now you got to reestablish relationships, now people don't know you, don't trust you. I mean, it's a hard thing to do, go from one agency to another. That's why most cops don't leave an agency unless they have to. So, or if they're getting a promotion. So, cops ain't quitting their job. I've looked. I keep hearing, Rick, do about all the cops quit. Ain't no cop quit their job. They ain't going to do it. You just don't give that shit up. Why do I want to quit when I can get paid, get benefits, and do nothing? I'll just stop working. Remember, cops don't get in trouble unless they act. When they don't do any, and that's a big problem. I say it like it's, it's fact because it is, but that's the problem why crime raises. That's why pesky citizens pay for all these big government plans and agencies, and government, like always, ends up doing less and being nothing but self-supplying themselves with promotions and numbers and stats and harassing easy people so they don't get complaints. Okay? I've never known a cop that had to arrest a little old lady with blue hair. Doesn't happen. So if the agency says I got to write tickets and I don't want to get in trouble, if I'm a freaking pussy and a pansy, I'll just go arrest little old blue hairs and give them tickets. Then I ain't got to arrest. They won't resist arrest. They won't complain. I don't have to use force. I can sell the ticket and, everybody's happy. Except the little old lady who's getting screwed because government is taking the easy way. But I digress. Ain't nobody quitting their job, people. Quit believing that shit. Put in the comments if you think there's a link where you tell me where cops are quitting. Not quitting, the SWAT team. Not quitting being a canine handler. Not quitting a special harassment unit. That's different. Show me where cops are resigning and turning in their badges. It ain't happening. All right? All right, so let's get past that.
In the shooting death of Rayshard Brooks, the department does say it has sufficient staff to protect the city. Today, those...
Oh, really? An agency is saying it has enough staff to protect the city? Why the hell are all these cities on fire? Where's the fire department? Firemen unite. You're getting paid every year in case there's a fire. And now that there's fires, you don't go. What the hell is... Oh, Rick, I talked to a couple fire buddies. Man, we want to go. They won't let us go. Oh, they. I love those. The they government, they won't let us. We can't. Cops. Oh, we want to go out and catch criminals, but they won't let us. Firemen. We want to go put out fires, but they won't let us. This is typical government. They sell it that you need them. They take resources. They suck up money. They raise taxes. They break working people to provide services for those that don't work. There's takers and there's providers. And we're moving to the point to where there's more takers than providers. And the providers are getting pissed that you keep taking from them to give to the takers. All right, here we go.
Those two officers were booked, and we are also hearing a heartbreaking interview with Brooks just months before he was killed. CBS's Mark Strassman reports tonight from Atlanta.
Heartbreaking.
That's Garrett Rolfe wearing the ball cap. His lawyer drove him to jail to be booked for felony murder. The former Atlanta cop is now an inmate. The other...
Yay, police in jail. Is this a good thing? How many people? Raise your hand if you think it's a good thing. Well, I mean, it can be a good thing. The problem I have with it is there has been 1,000 shootings that are worse, way worse, and less justified than this. And government has done nothing. And now people are rejoicing because this guy's going to jail when he doesn't deserve to be there. Rick, you're just taking up for the cop because you're a bootlegger. Whatever. This cop followed the law. Again, I wouldn't shot. I think over time they have made it so easy for police to shoot between training and cops not getting fired and cops not getting charged and every shooting being labeled as justified that now every cop out there thinks it's okay to shoot. And now it's a shocker when somebody goes, oh no, we're going to hold you accountable because you're white and the guy you shot was black. We're not going to do it as a matter of law. We're not going to identify the real problem that government's out of control and this should have been addressed 1,000 times before this. We're only going to do it because of the riots and because you're white and the suspect was black. Even though the suspect committed multiple felonies, he was a fleeing violent felon. He fought the cops. He assaulted the cops. He stole. He committed robbery on the cops, which is a felony. He was on probation and knew he was going to jail, so he should have been in jail, and they let him out early as long as he followed his terms. He violated his terms by being drunk. He violated his terms by fighting with the cops. He violated his terms by assaulting the cops. He violated his terms by disarming the cop with a taser, and he ran and he shot the taser at the cops. And people are rejoicing that this cop's in jail. Man, this, out of all the shoots I've seen, this one's pretty clear cut. Again, I wouldn't have shot the guy. But I've never been in the mindset that shooting somebody should be easy. Shooting somebody should be, hey, doesn't matter. As long as we're allowed, we're protected and it doesn't matter. So people are rejoicing that these cops aren't getting their immunity and aren't walking, but it's the wrong case. And it's for the wrong reason. And when we start making justice about color, which we were told we weren't supposed to do that, many, many years ago, during the civil rights, people were saying it was about color. People didn't have equal rights. They were treated worse because of their color. And they were right. And it was wrong. And we changed it. And now we're going back. And people are cheering. You deserve it. You deserve it because it's BS. But anyway, here we go.
Charged officer Devin Brosnan posted bond and left the jail. For the first time, he talked about that night and his first impression of Rayshard Brooks.
I felt he was friendly.
Hey, I've arrested a lot of friendly guys. I've arrested people who have stabbed people, shot them, killed them, murder for hire, and they were pretty nice guys. Matter of fact, most of the hardcore felons were pretty nice guys. Interview them, end up talking to them. They had reasons. They were in the gang. They grew up that way. It was a different lifestyle. What was acceptable to them, seemed odd to me and other citizens, but it was a way of life for them. When you get down and talk to members in the hood and how they grow up, they have a different outlook on life. They don't have a lot of respect for life. It's not so big of a deal if you kill somebody. I mean, that's just the way it is. And if you look back in the time through history, life was always kind of not really that important. Kings could order people to death with no trial. People would put out hits. I mean, the police have been killing people left and right. The government, were killing people over liquor and alcohol and prohibition, and people were getting killed on the streets, and mafia was killing, and this gang and this mafia and this group and this. Look, history doesn't change. The things people do, people have done before, and they're probably going to do again. But
He was respectful.
I know. You just doing your job.
So this respectful part is getting a lot of play. The part about his criminal history, assaulting his child, domestic violence, he's married, he's out drunk with another woman on this night, that's not getting played. He mentions his mother's grave and he mentions his daughter's birthday. But he's still out on probation, under the influence, falling asleep in a drive-thru, driving when he shouldn't be driving, fighting with the cops, disarming the cops, assaulting the cops, and shooting a taser at the cops. And somehow people think this is a good thing that this cop was charged. I mean, I just, look, I always say, the law doesn't matter. People who want to quote the law don't understand the system. Because by law, this cop was absolutely 100% justified through case law, through statute, through, if you watch the news, through prior practices of law enforcement and government throughout the land, this cop was 100% justified. If this cop was black, this would not be news. If the suspect was white, this would not be news. And the fact that it is news just because of color is wrong on all kind of fronts. I'm not saying cops aren't out of control, and I'm not saying cops shouldn't be allowed to shoot as easy as it is. But we've allowed it for so long, and now this is a shocker, and it's a wake-up call. And I'll tell you what, I guarantee you, cops are thinking twice about shooting right now. That's a good thing. Cops are not going out there saying, fuck it, I'll just draw my gun and shoot somebody if it's justified, because I know I'm going to walk. Cops ain't thinking that right now. We're hearing about how they're the blue flu and they're calling in sick and they're walking out of their jobs and they're quitting and protesting, and it's so sad, and we're crying over our McMuffin in the driveway because the pressure is so much. The pressure of what? Following the law? The pressure of that you guys are killing people too freaking easy, and you're out there screwing up people's lives thinking you're protecting and serving the shit out of them, when all you're doing is justifying your job and gathering stats and collecting for the taxes and treating hardworking Americans like the fucking enemy? That's what you want us to believe? Hey, comes around, goes around. Chickens come home to roost.
In his final minutes of life, Brooks was also impaired. The officers tried to arrest him for
He wasn't impaired. He was way over the legal limit. He was well over the legal limit's 08. I'm not saying I agree with the law. I think DUI's laws are freaking bullshit. And the guy could have easily been left with on the keys, but you can't, because Mothers Against Drunk Drivers will run around with their hair on fire, come out with their little pink pom-poms screaming, women have rights, it's our body, they're killing our kids. And if you can say you're killing a kid or you're hurting a woman, suddenly everybody cares. So Mothers Against Drunk Drivers have made DUI a capital felony, and this guy got killed for a DUI. Thank Mothers Against Drunk Drivers. Thank the insurance company. Thanks police policies and government policies for making DUI enemy number one. I'm surprised all people on the FBI most wanted list aren't for DUI, because the way they go after stupid ass somebody having a couple drinks and they're barely over the limit, and it's like a major bust, because we're hiring cops that can't go after real crime, so we have to justify our positions and arrest somebody who had a freaking glass of wine with dinner because we smell alcohol, or we smell marijuana in a car and we find a seed, so we search, arrest them for resisting arrest, and pat them down and tow their car and justify our jobs, and call out the ATF and call out, the narcotic squad, and we need a dog, and we need to justify, can we get a helicopter because we think somebody threw a marijuana cigarette on the ground and we need to search. Yeah, whatever. Our fucking government and cops are out of control, and this is a pushback. It's just unfortunate that this guy is getting the brunt of this when he was following the law and he did what every other cop did, and now he gets to face consequences for all the wrong. And my big problem is, this isn't going to be consistent. This isn't going to continue. They aren't going to keep holding cops accountable. We're going to make a big deal out of this, get through these riots, hang out this white boy, let's hang him out in a public hanging and lynch his ass in order to create peace. And then it'll be back to business as usual. And the pesky citizens will start getting harassed and tickets and arrest you for littering, or for trying to open your business, or for going to a park with your kid, And the line, the big, great blue line will be there to harass you because they probably won't have to shoot you. So we'll just harass people that we probably don't have to shoot. And we'll let the people that should be contacted run around and create havoc and crime. And we'll look the other way. That's what the fallout's going to be.
DUI.
Stop fighting!
Brooks ran off with Brosnan's taser.
Oh, he just ran off. No. Brooks took property from a person by force, which is robbery. He committed a violent felony. He committed robbery, seized a weapon from him. He's a prior felon. He's on probation. He's not allowed to possess a weapon. When he took that taser in his hand, he was a felon in possession of a weapon. Georgia law says a weapon is any gun that fires through explosive or electrical charge. That means tasers are a weapon, a firearm. He's not allowed to possess a firearm as a felon. So when he committed this felony by taking it, he committed another felony by possessing it, and then he committed another felony when he fired on an officer with a firearm. And they charged the cop for shooting him. Are you freaking kidding me? I can't even imagine how they could find 12 dumbass jurors that would convict. Unless you put all people on color that hate the white person and you just want a conviction for color. And you want to make this about racial injustice and Black Lives Matter. And you want to make it about everything but the law. And the more we get rid of the law, the more lawless we're going to become.
He fired it back at Rolfe, who was chasing him. The officer
Oh, Ross was chasing him. Shame on you. He stole something that could hurt somebody. This guy could jump in a car and tase somebody and take their car with this gun and firearm and carjack somebody. He could carjack somebody with a kid in the car and kill their kid, and it would be like, why didn't the cops shoot him? They were justified to shoot him. Look, I've said from the jump street, cops shoot people too damn easy. There's no damn reason. Unless somebody is shooting at you, cops should not be shooting and firing their gun. Unless a dog is chewing on your leg, you should not be shooting freaking dogs. But we've made it to where, shit. Cops are above the law, thin blue line. We got to support them. They're all heroes, and they can shoot anybody they want, and we have to support them. Otherwise, we're bad, and we don't support the cops, and they have a tough job, and we're mean, and we must hate police, and we need to get arrested, and the cops need to show us that they're in charge. If you say you hate police, if you film us, if you do anything to us, we'll show you. That's the problem.
replied with 3 gunshots. 2 hit Brooks in the back. Brosnan wouldn't talk about the specifics.
Now, remember, cops, when they're shooting, most of the times miss 80 to 87% of the time. Cops in shootings throughout the country only hit 13% or less of the times when they fire their guns in a battle. This cop was running.
2 hit Brooks in the back. Impaired. The officers tried to arrest him for DUI, who was chasing him. The officer...
So we have a suspect running. We have a cop running. He's got his taser in his hands. He switches from taser to gun in the middle of a run and draws his gun when this guy, when the criminal, when the fleeing felon, when the violent fleeing felon, where Dr. Brooks was running off, he pulls his gun,
replied with,
and shoots on the run while he's dodging a taser. And I've seen a couple reports where he took 1 dart in the shoulder. So he was actually hit. He fires with 1 hand, fires only 3 rounds, and 2 hit Brooks. This guy got screwed because he's a good shot, because he did things right. 1 bullet hit this car, and they charged him with it. Are you kidding me?
3 gunshots. 2 hit Brooks in the back. Brosnan wouldn't talk about the specifics of the shooting.
I'm looking forward to cooperating with any investigators.
Okay, here's another issue with this case. Is this guy turning state's evidence? The DA said he is. What is turning state's evidence? Normally, you testify for the state in lieu of going to prison, or you get a better deal. So if you're in, and matter of fact, when I was fighting that Reisig DA, that dirty DA, Jeff Reisig out of YOLO, he was cutting deals with a felon. He had a felon get on the stand and lie because it helped the case. We proved it was a lie, and he shouldn't have allowed the testimony, and he blocked me and the guy that proved it was a lie from testifying. He got Lieutenant Nelaboff to get on the stand and lie about it, and they never called us. And this guy went to prison. Now, I'm not saying the guy was innocent. I'm just saying it's bullshit when the defense does that, or the prosecution does that, and the defense doesn't have all the facts. So that's the problem with state's evidence, is when the government is promising you not to go to prison, or let's say you either tell us what we want or you go to prison. You can say it either way. It means the same thing. Either you testify to help us and you'll get less prison, or you tell us what we need or we'll send your ass to prison. So either way says the same thing. That's the problem with state's evidence, is normally, and juries normally will take the credibility of the witness less, because they're like, when you testify and you have something to gain, not going to prison is something to gain, that becomes a problem with your credibility. And it should be. I don't even think jurors ought to consider shit like that. And the prosecution will always play this, we don't like making deals with the devil, but in this business, a lot of the people we deal with are bad. So sometimes we have to make a deal with a bad guy in order to get a bad guy. So they give that spiel to the jury, and the jury buys it. Hook, line, and sinker every time. Oh, you know what? They're not manipulating the system. They're not threatening somebody. They're not doing this mean and maliciously just because they want a conviction. They're doing it because they have to. And that's the same line that every freaking prosecutor uses. I got so tired of hearing it, I was just like, man, but you know what? Jurors only hear it once when they're on a jury. They don't hear it every freaking case like cops do. But anyway, here we go.
We're interested in having a conversation about what happened that night.
Okay, so to me, is that turning state's evidence? If I say I'm going to tell the truth, and I'm willing to tell the truth from what I saw, is that turning state's evidence? According to the DA, it is. Where you get into a problem is if his story changes. But the defense won't know that because prosecution won't tell them. But if he says this and they go, you know what, according to the video, we think this happened. Would you say that this could happen? Well, maybe it could have. Well, if you help us and tell the truth, we're going to give you less time. So we're looking at the video and we think this happened. So you can either corroborate that happens for less time, or you can stick to your story that you just told us, and then you can go to prison. But Rick, that sounds like coercion. It fucking is coercion. It's freaking crazy. Prosecutions are the crookedest motherfuckers in the planet. And it's just ridiculous. And they are held less accountable than cops. If you think cops aren't held accountable for killing people, DAs kill people, they get the death penalty. DAs take lives away. If somebody puts you in jail for life, is that just as bad as killing you? I mean, DAs take much more lives from people than cops. And they are a whole hell of a lot less accountable. They're never held accountable. When was the last time you heard a DA prosecuted for hiding evidence? When was the last time a DA went to prison? I'll tell you what, it's a whole of a hell of a lot less than the last time a cop went to prison.
Rolf's third shot strayed. The bullet hit the rear bumper of a car waiting in the drive-thru.
Okay, it hit the bumper of a car, people. It didn't go on the windshield. It hit the bumper. There was a Dallas cop that shot at a freaking little bitty dog that was coming up wagging his tail. Bullets ricocheted and killed a woman in Dallas. I mean, cops are shooting freaking crazy wild. There have been 100 cases. They shot at that one UPS truck, 200 times. They surrounded it. There was at least 15 to 20, if not 30 vehicles that were hit with stray bullets. Not one cop was charged. That was egregious. That would send a message if they charged all those cops and says, you guys got to stop. They didn't. They told cops it was okay. And now this guy shoots 3 rounds, 2 hit the target, 1 hits a freaking bumper. And they're charging him because he's white. And the suspect was black.
Third shot strayed. The bullet hit the rear bumper of a car waiting in the drive-thru. Michael Perkins was in the back seat.
I witnessed the murder. I almost was killed myself.
I was almost killed. My bumper got hit. Chicago, last weekend. 20 people killed. 69 people wounded. How many cars were hit and how many black residents were on TV saying, I could have been killed, it was bad? Did you hear about all those 20 people killed? Did you hear about those 69 people that were wounded? Did you hear about all the cars that were killed and all the people that were No, because it was black on black crime. And black lives only matter if white people are involved. That's the problem with the system when it becomes color-oriented. It's wrong no matter what way. It's wrong if we did it to blacks, to Asians, to I don't care who it is. It's wrong. Justice should be blind. Everybody should be equal. And there should be no special privileges because of your color or special prosecutions or special crimes. Man, we're in freaking bad waters, people.
Brooks was on probation. A DUI conviction would have put him back behind bars.
Oh, wow. Haven't really heard that from the DA. No, Rick, he was a hero.
Just a lot of pressure.
4 months earlier, he talked to the group Reconnect about his struggles with the criminal justice system.
We do have lives, it's just a mistake we made, and, not just do us as if we are animals.
Okay. I hear this from all career criminals. It's a mistake. You got a rap sheet of 14 pages with 37 arrests and 4 prison stints. And you go to these groups and they go, man, it was just a mistake. I've turned my life around. I've registered to enter doctor school. I'm going to be a doctor. I mean, it's the same old freaking story. It is not a mistake when your whole life has been spent in a criminal justice system, either getting out of crime, getting free legal advice, being a strain on the taxpayers for committing crimes, being in the jail, getting fed, getting free medical, getting free legal advice, getting free defense attorney, going to court, wasting the court's time, being held jail, getting released, charges dismissed, cops arresting you. All this money. Guess what? There's no tracking of this. Every person, if you have a job and you go into criminal justice, you're billed. You're responsible. You have what's called restitution. There's no restitution for the people that don't have nothing. The government goes, we're not going to get nothing. We just won't worry about it. We'll only get it from the people who have jobs and who have homes and who have kids and who want to get out of this. We'll take their money. But the people that ain't got nothing, that are just living off the system, we won't take anything off them. It's freaking ridiculous.
Rolf's lawyer will defend him by going after Brooks. He talked to our Atlanta affiliate, WGCL.
We are dealing with somebody who has violently assaulted 2 law enforcement officers, has manifested his intent to disarm a law enforcement officer, and proves to be a danger to anyone in the area, including the people in the crowded parking lot.
Okay, so what his lawyer is basically setting up is the fleeing felon thing. He was a violent fleeing felon. He was a danger to other people. The DA is saying he wasn't a danger to the cops. He was running away. Well, he turned and pointed a gun. Well, after he fired it, the DA said he wasn't a threat because he was shot in the back. There's plenty of studies about, you can face somebody and turn around. I think it's like a half a second or a quarter of a second. 0.25 a second it takes you to aim a gun and turn away. It's very quick. So you're asking a cop to respond, to shoot or not shoot, in under a second. And that just ain't going to happen because it takes almost a second to a second and a half for a cop to draw his gun and fire a round, or even point a gun to fire a round. So the time just doesn't work, and there's plenty of scientific evidence behind it. But the DA is ignoring all that, and he's saying this cop shot him in shot him in the back because he's black, and the cop shot him because he was white, and we're going to make it a racial issue, and we're going to get racial justice, and you people please stop burning down my cities. It's the same thing government does when they get felons to testify against other felons just to get their conviction. Now they're going after somebody just to get a conviction to show they care, just to get their cities not being burnt down. It's total BS. This is a totally different case than Floyd, But
Rolfe is being held without bond, and this late word, District Attorney Paul Howard has just announced he will not seek the death penalty.
Gee, that's nice. See, the cops were pretty upset that they were seeking the death penalty, capital murder. Because in order to get the death penalty, it has to usually be intent, lying in wait, or killing a police officer or some federal employee or agent, whatever. That's how you get capital murder. I think you might get capital murder if you kill a pregnant woman, too. I'm not sure. But there's certain things that the legislators have deemed, it wouldn't surprise me if there's going to be a new law, Black Lives Matter. If you kill somebody from Black Lives Matter, it's capital murder. But anyway, they put these special circumstances on special cases, and they did that on this cop and said he was capital murder, and they could have sought the death penalty on him. That's just freaking crazy. I mean, I'm not even sure if this cop ought to be charged with any crime. Maybe bad judgment. Maybe a weak manslaughter charge. Maybe. But the fact that they're charging cops or making cops think, and that's a good thing. And they should have done this a long time ago. And shootings are going to go down. But the problem with that is cops are going to they're not going to say, I should just be more responsible and be careful how I shoot. Cops are going to say, I ain't taking a chance. I ain't contacting anybody. I ain't chasing anybody. I ain't doing shit where I might have to shoot somebody because the government's going to come after me. And then crime's going to go up. Cops going to stop responding. Everybody's going to scream, oh no, we got to protect that. How do we do it? Well, let's cut a deal with the cops. Well, let's give them immunity and tell them we won't charge them. Okay, now they're going to go out there and start shooting the shit out of people again, protecting and serving the shit out of everybody, and the cycle continues. It's just ridiculous. All right, we'll end that there.